Stronghold, Annapolis, Maryland, beyond. This is the Recruiter Roundtable Season 3. Every episode is an open discussion for recruiters, headhunters, and talent pros, so feel free to participate or just sit back and listen as we bring you topics, discussion, tips, tricks, and more from both industry dinosaurs and noobs alike. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And now let's start with the Recruiter Roundtable Season 3, AI for Business Development, and an added on tools recruiters should know about but don't in the AI world. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and go through a really quick pitch deck, right? I don't want to bore everybody with this, but I thought it was important to kind of get an idea of what we're talking about so we can talk about the tools and talk about the biz dev side. I know everybody loves biz dev because that's how we make our money. So AI for business development and recruiting, how recruiters can leverage AI to grow pipelines and partnerships in today's data-driven recruiting landscape. So the shift in business development for an old guy like me was MPC marketing. I do some assumptive opening, which I still love, but now everything can be data-driven. That's perfect timing, so to speak, right? And personalization, or I would say hyper personalization. This allows recruiters to approach BD like sales teams do, right? With more insights about your companies, your clients, who you're going after, right? The focus becomes adding value as well as recruiting for them, right? So how are we going to do that? And there's a lot of tools out there that can help us do that. So all the use cases that as I did the research on this, is market research, lead scoring, hyper-personalized outreach. I probably should have changed that, but hyper-personalized outreach, and then proposals and documents. Like so much you can do. I have horrible grammar. It's hard for me to put my thoughts on paper, and AI has done a fantastic job. The large language models have done a fantastic job to help me with that. I couldn't do any of this stuff we're doing now or present near as half of this if it wasn't for AI allowing me to do that. So this is a little bit like the AI-powered prospect research. And we're talking about tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Craft, Sona, and Manus, because they get really deep, right, into the web. Whereas I know that ChatGPT and Claude are starting to open the web up and get more web information, but Perplexity, it is fantastic because it gives you all the sources too. It'll show you 37 sources that found the information. So a sample prompt, a simple prompt, guys, this is not deep prompts. Summarize, Steel Incorporated's recent business performance, hiring trends, growth plans, including news, funding, and open roles, right? So that's going to give you, and it shows an output example. Glean raised 45 million Series B January 2025. They have 14 active job postings, including 6 developer positions, right? So you're using these tools to get this information. This is all out there, and now we have access to it much quicker than we ever had before, which is going to allow us to attack our clients in a different way. So let me go here. Lead scoring with AI, right? So here's a list of 25. You found these 25 companies, the Glean and whoever. Highlight the most likely hiring due to funding, job posting, and headcount changes. And again, Apollo, Perplexity, Clay for the custom data sets. I don't know if Jordan's joined yet, but he showed me some stuff on Clay that blew me away. And then People, GBT, Pin, and Go Perfect. Those are good for this too, because they have a lot of that information as well. So again, this is just showing you what, Acme Health did this, Blockwave did that, right? This is more information you guys are going to be able to use to hyper-personalize how you're going after clients, right? I'm going to use that word a lot. So, and this is the AI hyper-personalized email outreach, right? Write a 3-sentence outreach to the head of engineering at Glean, referencing their hiring growth. Now, this is very simple for us, for those of us that are using stuff like Pin and other ones who do a much better job of hyper-personalizing it. I've shown some people some stuff with Jobin, where they have a ChatGPT add-on where you can do an icebreaker, which I think is really cool. I have an icebreaker. It's like use an icebreaker to tell them a funny fact about their college or a funny fact about their name. So it seems very hyper-personalized. And then this initial contact, I wasn't real high on, but it kind of gives you an idea, like, the personalized outreach first. This might work well in a LinkedIn connection request or an email. And then you can share market insights about what you've learned and maybe highlight similar companies you've helped. I like to storytell. I got a client recently all about storytelling. I didn't have an MPC. I got an introduction. I got a 25-second elevator pitch to the president. He liked me. I told stories, and I got the client. And it was all about what I did with companies very similar to his and why they should use our firm, because we understand how they hire. And I wouldn't have gotten that without some of the research I was able to do on the internet with all the tools that I have. Let's see. So competitive intelligence for clients, right? So compare the recent hiring job trends and employer brand activity of client A and top 3 competitors. This is something your clients might like to hear, right? Well, client A, slower job board activity, low higher velocity. Competitor B, heavy investment, employer branded perks. Let me move this, sorry guys. And C, remote friendly roles. What is this? I don't know why this is here. Remote friendly roles with significant something. I don't know what's under there. But the best tools for this, again, SimilarWeb, and I'll show you that. LinkedIn Talent Insights, which Dominic had for a while and let me use it. This is really cool. But you can also do this on Sales Navigator, and we can show that later. And then showing the hiring trends and telling your clients like, hey, you guys are behind the times, right? You're not, doing what these other companies are doing. They're investing in this, they're investing in that. And if you can show them it, it's one thing is to tell them, but to actually show them the actual data that you pulled together is going to be something that a lot of other people aren't doing. So, this is the end, right? So, basically a workflow for recruiting. I think we're at the end. Success, right? So use Perplexity, ChatGPT, or other ones to do the company intelligence and hiring signals. Prioritize your prospects based on those filters we talked about before, right? Compare these 25 companies. Who am I bet to go after? If you're going to do an MPC campaign like me, I don't do a lot of email. Maybe I want to know who of the 25 or 50 companies I'm going after, who are the 10 that are most likely to hire? And whoever raised their hand, I'll get to you in a second. Personalize, craft tailored outreach using AI, propose, generate custom proposals, decks using AI content tools, and analyze. Make sure your results are refined and your approach for continuous improvement. The worst thing you could do, and I don't know if Tim's on yet or not, is he made a mistake. We were talking about this yesterday. Instead of first_name, he thought it was first name. So whatever platform he was using, every email went out and said, first name, hi, first name. My name's Tom Lassio. I'm a headhunter, right? Like, think about all those things you're doing, because if you want that hyper personalization is going to get past all the noise of all the other recruiters who are sending the simple personalized emails that are like, hi, first name, and maybe their title. We were talking about this yesterday. Their title is at their current company, Vice President Commercial, right? If you don't pay attention to that and you're just grabbing your titles off of your ATS or off of your email system, and the title says, I know you're the VP commercial of XYZ Corporation, that's dumb. They know I get emails that say, Tom, you look like you're doing a great job as the partner/founder of Palermo Roads, right? I know they didn't even look and see what I did, didn't look at my title. So that's a simple thing you could do before you send an email. Check all your titles, check every area that your operator's grabbing. Make sure it's going to make sense and looks personalized versus the stupid stuff that we've all done in the past. So that is it for that. So there's some hands raised and questions, and then we'll go on to the tools. So Kelly, go ahead.
How do you do this on a automated basis?
That's a really good question. And you and I were kind of looking at this with Clay, right? I wish Rosen was here, because Pin is another one that you can kind of set it and forget it on some of this stuff. And then Dominic, I want you to kind of talk about what Tobias did. So Tobias has a thing that he's doing that will constantly scan, I think 3 job boards every like 5 or 10 minutes. And every time a job pops up from, let's say, your industry, then this automation thing will happen where it will grab the job, see if it's a company, right, that you've done work with before. If it has, it goes to a section where it'll send an email that's more like, hey, it's Tom. Remember we did that search for you? And if you've never done company before, never done work with them before, it goes to another area where it writes a new email. And
then it will send a Slack message to his sales team. Hey, our client just posted this role. Reach out to them immediately. It scrapes every 30 seconds, which can get very expensive. But this is a workflow that we put together for a good friend of mine, Greg Benediva, with his systems and processes. It's amazing. And then it just goes right to his team when a Slack message, email goes out, all automated. But this specific one is for his clients. He has over 1,000 clients. He specializes in bilingual customer service candidates, right? and it just constantly going boom, boom, boom.
So every
It's
time a job
amazing.
pops up that says we're looking for a customer service rep, they must be bilingual, then that particular trigger happens and it works through the workflow. Now, like I'm, no expert on this. There's some other ones here probably better at this, but those automations is what we're talking about, and the agents you can build, and we'll show some of those tools to help you automate a lot of this process. And we can even take this back to Google alerts, right? Do you remember, or Google News alerts? You can go to Google right now, Google News, and put in your client's name and say, send me an email once a week where my client's mentioned anywhere in the news. That's the simple form of this. Go ahead, Ernie.
Doing something like you were talking about with this gentleman, the recruiter, Dom, how much does that cost? And the reason I asked that question, because I remember that when being in part of careers in food, there was one guy that was making $1 million in just sending out candidates to people all over the place. So then I started, saying this is pretty slick. The guy's, what the hell? He's got all these recruiters that he's sending jobs to from different industries.
Yeah.
And he's sending candidates to those jobs. And someone said, well, he's spending about $200,000 in doing that to get the $1 million. And I was like, that's interesting. But that was.
You're talking about Mike Stuck?
Pardon?
You talking about Mike Stuck?
I think so. I'm not sure who.
He's a beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like programmatic advertising, what he was doing. I talked to him, very smart guy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think cost-wise, Dom, it's what you're talking about is like make, and then I wish did.
Yeah, well, here's one, like I'm gonna put in the chat. If you're not super tech savvy, like some of the stuff that like we're doing on N8N, it's I don't even know how to explain it to you, right? Like, and to get even my guy Tobias on it, like he's at the point where he's turning down stuff because we're working on a bigger play. I mean, it's gonna cost a lot. But to run that workflow is $150.
Can't you do this with, like, one of the things I liked about Clay and some of the other ones is, and using your OpenAI key, right? So use your OpenAI key, and that will cut your costs down, right? So Jordan, who's not on, or if he is, I don't see him yet, he's got a Clay thing he does where he finds the candidates, the LinkedIn profiles, and then he looks at the LinkedIn profiles and has asked Clay, if I'm doing a search for a sales rep, do all these guys have sales rep building materials experience? And he clicks AI to do that, and it costs like 0.006 cents to run that particular analyzation, right? Or if he wants to send out 10,000 emails, for example, it's 0.006 cents per message that ChatGPT writes for you. But if you use Clay, they charge a credit, right? And the credits are, I think you get 10,000 credits for $300 a month. You can run through 10,000 credits relatively quickly, but if you pay the $300 a month, you can run all your APIs. So I have APIs for Claude, OpenAI for ChatGPT, Deep Research, and Gemini, right? So I can run and I have one for Perplexity too. So you can run all those APIs through something like Clay, and then the other one that Dom just showed as well. If you find that a way to do that, it's a lot cheaper, right? A lot of these platforms are charging you because we're dumb. We don't know that we can use OpenAI inside of the platform to do a lot of the stuff for us. We'll just buy the credits because it's easier. And again, this is something that I can only talk about surface level versus Jordan's here. So Jordan, we're just talking about you. Can you explain, and you're on mute, can you explain the workflow you do in Clay where you grab 20 profiles on LinkedIn and then you ask ChatGPT to like analyze the profiles if they have leadership, and then after that, what all can you do with the OpenAI API once you grab, let's say, 50 LinkedIn profiles of sales reps from a landscape company in Chicago?
Literally, like whatever you want. I mean, whatever your creativity is limiting to. I mean, it really just depends on like how good you are at writing prompts and what you ultimately want to get out of it. Like for instance, what was your example? You wanted to landscape
You had said
company.
something about here's 50 LinkedIn profiles. You're doing a sales search in Chicago for somebody who has landscaping sales experience, right? So you grab 50, 100, 200 profiles, you drop them into Clay, or Clay finds them for you, right? You use Clay to find them. And then you ask the AI or ChatGPT using your OpenAI key, of all these profiles, do all of them have sales experience in landscape? And then it'll give you false, true, false, true, false, true, and then reasoning behind. Can you explain that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you kind of hit it on the head right there, but like it'll basically like crawl the profile and then based off your prompt, like what you want, say, hey, does this person have like commercial landscape experience? And just because they're in the landscape company doesn't necessarily mean they have commercial experience. So it'll look at their about section, their headline, their experience, and it'll look for that specific type of experience. It's not just looking for a keyword. It's actually looking and following up on, does this person legitimately fit the profile? And you could do a true false, but that's kind of the one that I showed you, Tom. But you could also do like a 1 through 10. Like how confident an answer are you on a 1 through 10? Because if it's a true false, some might say false, even though it could be one of those that does. So like I kind of been doing more like, hey, on a 1 through 10 scale, does this person have commercial landscape? And then it'll come back with a confidence answer. If they get a 7 or more, then I'll pass them on to the next bucket. But it really becomes powerful when you start like stacking filters together, because if you want to say, hey, does this person have commercial landscape? Okay, yes. Then, okay, hey, are they in this specific area of the country? Oh, they're not, then don't enrich them. Don't even worry about moving them on at that point. So like if you can find out, I call it like your, everybody has your deal breakers. You have your 10 deal breakers for a job. You can create a workflow in Clay and build the filters in there. It will literally comb through all the different candidates until you find the 50 or whatever that you really want to reach out to. The whole reason that I did it and that I like it is because Sales Navigator is good, but it's still limiting. There's still so much information on people's profiles that if you took the time to go and look at it, but nobody wants to do that, right? Like I don't want to do that. But if you can have ChatGPT do that, then it can give you a confident answer to do that. And you're not reaching out to 500 people, of which only 50 are good. You're only reaching out to the 50 people that fit what you're looking for at that point.
So for a use case example for me, like I have a lot of my clients want to hire engineers. We call them engineers of personality. So while they were in college, they played sports, or they were a waiter or a bartender, or they sold Cutco, or they worked at the Gap or something like that. So I could grab, instead of right? I'll go through 150 LinkedIn profiles in any given area. I could grab a much larger amount of LinkedIn profiles. Let's say I go to Navigator and I'll grab everyone with a civil engineering degree in the word structural in that whole search. And then using that Clay walkthrough, I could say, now give me all the people who have NCAA, football, rugby, lacrosse, basketball, baseball, waiter, waitress, bartender, vector marketing, Gap, or some other thing in there. And then it'll do all that for me. And then once I get them over, then I can ask it, okay, now all the people who have the word bridge or transportation, get rid of, because I only want vertical structures. Clay could do that?
Yeah, absolutely. It could definitely do that. That would be a somewhat straightforward use case. I think where it would become much more powerful is, once you decide that they have those things, how do you want to reach out to them, right? Do you want to give them a personalized message, or do you want to just drop the right slug into your sequencer? What I found Clay to be, it's a simple thing, but when I would create a list of 100 or 200 people to reach out to, I would try to put the slug of the company in there. So it's like, hey, Thomas at Palermo Roads, right? But inevitably, when I skipped it from LinkedIn, it would be like Palermo Road Incorporated or company or group or some bullshit like that. ChatGPT is really good at just saying, hey, take all of these company names and simplify them. So take out all the inks, the LLCs, the groups, just make it like I would actually.
We were just talking about that. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, like that's a very basic thing that I learned how to do that. It saves me a ton of time because I used to just like it wouldn't take me that much time, but I would go through everyone line by line. Oh, that one has LLC, delete. Oh, that one has Inc, delete. And same thing for job titles. Like if you're you know, if the guy has a job title of heavy structure civil engineer, like heavy structure civil engineer, like you don't want it to say, hey, I'm looking for a heavy structure civil engineer. You want
I'm
to say,
looking for an engineer.
I'm looking for an engineer, right? But
Yeah.
so that's a very basic thing where it's like, hey, simplify the job name too. If it has all that other bullshit, just make him an engineer, right? And
And
that's something
ChatGPT
that
can do all that without deleting everything. They'll just write the message that way. Is that what you're saying?
you have ChatGPT clean up the column. So you basically make another column and say, hey, take all of the current job titles and simplify them. Take out all the LLCs, the groups, and then it just enriches it and moves it on to the next column
Okay.
at that point.
Huff,
Once
you had a
that
question?
column's
Oh, sorry, go ahead,
enriched-
Jordan. Go ahead.
Once that column's enriched, then or cleaned up, because it's really not enrichment, then you move that to your sequencer. And you know, most of you guys use Loxo, I'm pretty sure. It has a native integration with Loxo, so if you get good at using that, it's pretty easy to push it to there. But what people aren't using ChatGPT for are like the main thing that's good at. People are using it as like a chat bot or write me this copywriting or whatever. And that's fine. It's really not that good at that. Like Claude writes better, right? And like, you know, other stuff like that. But like ChatGPT is really good at taking complex data and simplifying it. So
That's awesome.
that's what you should be using it for. And it works just like Typing Mind, right? You don't have to go buy a boatload of Clay credits. You do have to buy the $350 a month one because you have to have APIs. So you're out, well, at least about $350 a month, probably not for you. But if you are, then I mean, I look at it as like a cheap employee. I can't pay an employee less than 15 grand a year, and that's all I pay on Clay. So
Huff, you had a question?
Yeah, back up about 10 years from now, 10 years ago, I knew a recruiter that was placing about 150 people a month at IBM. And what he had done is put together sort of a manufacturing process to the recruiting process. So he had about 40 people in India that were screening resumes just for 5 things. And they would screen about 10,000 a day. And then they would take those and send them immediately to the Philippines. And let's just say, I forget the number, but let's say it was 1,000, maybe that meant that. And they had about 70 people there that would do very quick phone screens. I don't remember the exact math, so just bear with me on that. But this was all in a 24-hour turnaround. So India would screen them. They would send the batch to the next step where some first level screening would be involved in looking at the resume and a quick conversation. If it passed that, then they were sent to I think it was some number of maybe 50 account managers or some number in the US that actually would get on the conversation, have an interview and set it up and take it from there. Well, so let's fast forward now. Obviously AI can do a lot of that screening, give me this or that and so forth, right? What it still can't do though, and what I'm interested in hearing maybe potential in this call or other potential tools is the idea of avatar screening, or I may not be using that properly, but someone that I've seen that where, and I think there's more acceptance for that now, especially maybe in particular roles. So I'd love to get people's thoughts on that.
My buddy's got that running for his healthcare company. So it screens the resume, but then it'll clarify, you know, kind of, I think Jordan mentioned kind of the 70% probability. It'll text and say, do you have your certification for emergency room nursing? Perfect. Okay. Are you ready to relocate to Arizona or, you know, New York State? Okay, great. Can we book a call with you today at 2, or is there a time that works for you tomorrow? Right. So it kind of it'll
That's a chatbot though, right?
Yeah. And it ties in with his bullhorn. Yeah.
So is that a dynamic chat bot based on the answer then?
Yeah.
There is 11 Labs is working on the actual voice thing. 11 Labs is working on an interviewer who will, like the chatbot, what the answer comes back to will then respond, right? So if you say, yes, I have nursing experience in emergency rooms, it'll go, okay, great. Can you relocate to Arizona? Yes, I can. Okay, awesome. Is the salary range of 50 to 100,000 okay? Yes, it is. Great. Can we book a call to talk to our account manager? And that's all done. 11 Labs higher view. 11 Labs is trying to do this where it will call and do all that for you, right?
It's
So I
just
don't know how good it is. It's still a little.
Your voice credits versus your text credit are hugely different. And then what are the kind of hang up rates versus the text message? And I think text message, as long as it's working well and it's like, hey, you applied for this RN job and can quickly help. So for a temp staffing agency, I think it's perfect. And my buddy Tony's like, okay, I mean, I think it's minimum like $1,200 for a good voice solution, like voice screening versus text. You can be down in that in a reasonable range. Not as cheap as $350, but you can do the work of a big team pretty quickly with the text messaging ones.
Yeah, that's one of the longest parts of the process.
Like if Dom, didn't we watch someone do? I can't remember what we were on one of these round tables, and it was his or Animals or somebody's, and somebody demoed this, and the delay was not horrible. It was still there, but it wasn't horrible. And as long as it's simple questions that the candidate is answering, it seemed to be okay. And I think Huffer,
it's getting so good
for staffing. It's fine.
Mason,
right?
check out
for very active candidates. For active candidates.
Tell your buddy, check out this. This is my buddy from Stanford, owns it, Tenzo AI. And when he first had me testing it 3 years ago, night and day to where it's at. And it's just getting better and better by the day. Like that's how fast things are changing. But like for executive level roles, how often like stuff where I've asked a bunch of these guys, would they take an AI chatbot? They're like, no, not yet. So like I've asked,
if you go to Tenzo AI right now, I can't let you hear the sound, but there is a video. This is what I was talking about. This is a video on Tenzo AI, and it shows Morgan, their AI thing, interview a real candidate, right? So that's, if you're talking about, I think, and Cale said it, active candidates, you get 10,000 resumes like Huff was explaining, right? And they can very quickly, send them a text that says, do you have this, this, and this? And they say, yes, yes, yes. Then this calls and says, okay, do you have this, this, and this? Can you do an interview at this time tomorrow at 4:00? Yes, I can. And that's all done with AI in an even quicker turnaround than the 24 to 48 hours that Huff was talking about. That's revolutionary. But is the cost there yet? Is it cost effective? I'm assuming it would be cheaper than 10 Indians and 10 Filipinos doing all that stuff. I'm sure that all this stuff would be cheaper. So that'd be interesting to see how that's going to go. And we've talked about how that's where AI is going to replace people for the active candidates that don't care that they're talking to AI. The guys we recruit do, right? None of our project managers, estimators, sales reps, they're not going to talk to AI, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't know. They're already talking AI, right? So once they have 10 good experiences, they're gonna be like, fuck, I don't want to deal with a person like, and especially the new generation, right? Some of us old schoolers were like, this, press 0 for operator. Or
I still hit 0.
Go ahead, other ones like all they did for dating was text messaging, right? Sending naked pictures, right? Like that's the expectation, right? They don't actually want to talk to somebody. Right? So like we got to remember that the people coming up, they're a little bit different than some of us old
That's a good
fogies.
point, man. I guess get off my fucking lawn right now. But go ahead, Huff.
I think timing is acceptance of that for certain types of roles or levels of individuals. However, you're right. We so tried to avoid dealing with press 1 for this, 2 for that, and get an automated response, never getting a person. But now that's the accepted norm. But that took a long time to get adoption. However, just as when I'm asking people to take a psychometric assessment, you still have to sell it. But if you sell it properly, a good percentage will do it. And so there are certain people out there, personality styles, that would like be, this is cool. Yeah, I'll do that. Others will be like, yeah, no, I'm not ready for that. Right. So there could be more adoption than you think, but also in how you sell it.
So
there is, I was just going to say, one of the weirdest things though is that when you do actually talk to a person and then you can't understand them, that is like shit. What the hell? You know?
Yeah, but think about this, Ernie. Think about if the person that wants to screen you shows up and they're, the godfather of recruiting, and they're, 65 years old, and they live in your region or area, and they speak your dialect.
That's kind of where I thought was interesting is there's also some AI out there that changes dialects. So people from India or Philippines talk, and it sounds like my accent, my voice. We saw a couple of those, and then to kind of see how this is progressing. Do you all remember about 10 years ago? It was McDonald's or KFC or one of them had one of their franchisees had outsourced their drive-through to like India. Right. So if you came up to the drive-through, there was somebody from India that would go, "Welcome to McDonald's." They take their order, they punch it in, and then would go to the McDonald's and they'd serve it. So now I saw one the other day that says, "Please speak slow. We are using AI for ordering." There was a restaurant, a fast food restaurant that was using AI for their drive-through. Go ahead, Dom.
I'm going to get Mason on this call. His buddy actually created this, and anybody that knows this is so hard to do, but it will take out the accent in real time. So
yes, this was the company that
Mason's buddy, and I was just amazed that this guy even put that together. You know how hard that is to do in real time.
Well, now that like the translators are in real time now, you wear the translator in your ear. Someone's talking to you in Spanish, and it comes in English in your ear. That is in real time now. There's like 3 or 4 out there you can buy, and Apple said they're going to have one with the new iPod release and the iOS 26. You'll be able to do that with Apple Translate. You'll have your AirPod in your ear. You go to the Mexican restaurant, the lady starts talking in Spanish, and you'll be able to understand it in English. Now you won't be able to respond back, but you'll be understand what she's saying.
I can do that without it.
Well, I can't. Only a little bit.
Meetings like this that we're having right now, it will feel like you're right next to them. Like if you look at the end of this podcast of Lex Friedman, the CEO of Google, go to the last 10 minutes and watch that part.
Would you just drop it?
It's literally, I'll find it.
Okay.
It is crazy.
Craig, hey, we were talking about you too, Craig, for automation. So does anybody here want to see a specific tool? I got a lot of the tools we were talking about. I can pull up and screen share. If there's anybody who wants to see a specific tool or have a specific question, please. I mean, we're doing, I know it said business development, and we're talking about that as well, but all these tools are applied to it that can help you get better at business development or increase your business development.
Do you have a list of the tools in a chattable drop-in, or?
That's a very good question.
Cran sounds interesting.
I do not, but I will put one together.
Can you ask AI to create one for me real quick? How about this, Tom? How about an avatar interview? Hey, Tom, thanks for the interview today. Hey, nice blue shirt. I like that. You look a little stressed, but don't be nervous in this interview.
I think we'll get there one day. I think we will get there one day. I mean,
don't you think they can read emotions? How about that?
Well, we talked about that. I don't think so. That's where we had this 2 weeks ago was AI is never going to hear. I'll get you 1 second, but AI is never going to hear that excitement in someone's voice when you talk about the salary or the position, or that reluctance when you talk about the compensation package or the reload package, right? AI is not going to be able to do those things that we do, right? They're never going to be able to. Well, not never, but as of right now, that's why AI won't be able to get those passive candidates and won't be able to interview the way that we interview. Go ahead, Buck. You're on mute.
Yeah. So competitive intelligence, I think you said Cran was one of those tools. I really would love to have some sort of personalized battle card or something to be able to present quickly to prospective clients. So Cran or whatever you got, like on the competitive intelligence.
So this one there's two that I was messing around with when I was researching this. And again, remember, I'm not an expert on any of this, right? So I'm giving you just the cursory view, and maybe someone who knows more about it can then. But so this is Crayon, and then the other one was this one, SimilarWeb. This one I kind of liked, right? So SimilarWeb searches companies and contacts, and you can search it by the type of company. You can search it by the industry with NIACS codes, or SIC codes. I didn't have a good luck with the SIC codes, right? Different technologies they use, e-commerce, company headquarters, employee headcount, business model, and then you'll have a list right now. So there's 22 million, and then you could put these in and whatever industry you work and get a list of these companies. And then again, their incoming traffic, international, like all these extra things, right? And then if you pay more money, you can look at their decision makers. So this is one of those companies where you could compare several different companies within your industry. And then again, going back to taking that information and asking AI to research of these 25 companies, which ones are most likely to hire, which ones are most likely to go under, right? Some of the other things that I don't know if this is what you were talking about, but did you see us talking about this on the account side, where you can show the department head growth, right? So you could pick a particular department. You could also the head count of department. So we were talking about, so you don't have to deal with HR, is we put in human resources 2, right? So they either have one human resources manager or no human resources manager. And then you could find a company that had a department headcount growth. And let's say your industry is accounting, right? You work in a lot of accounting. So they've had a minimum of 20% headcount growth, and you work accounting in United States in, let's see, what industry we'll pick, construction, for example, right? So, oh, I got parking up here, sorry. So in construction, with one or less human resources people, these companies had a 20% headcount accounting growth, right? So are these companies you want to do work with or not do work with, right? I don't know. But like that's what you can kind of do with this as well to help you get all that information down to say, okay, how am I going to market this MPC, or how am I going to market my services to this company, this industry, this wherever, right? So
no, that seems really helpful. Like I didn't realize it had that, especially if you're talking about, which I mean, I think I am definitely adding other services in addition to just search. I'm trying to figure out like how can I provide value and get a couple $1,000 here and there quickly. And I think that's a really good tool to be able to kind of.
So like right here, U.S. accounting firms, human resources less than 2, 20% growth in accounting with 50 to 200 employees. 40 results. So this sounds like probably 40 companies that are growing. Now, you could take this then into Perplexity, right? And ask it, these 20 companies or 40 companies or whatever, what is their ability? How does it look for them in growth? Like, is there any news about them, about growth? Are they looking to change? Yada, 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 right? And like I said, there are a lot of other tools out there that'll do even better than that, like Manus, right? Manus is, you could ask it basically anything, just like, and same with Suna. I could ask it, what are the 5 fastest growing, somebody give me something, I'll ask it. 5 fastest growing what?
Good dietary supplements companies, my niche.
5 fastest growing dietary supplement companies in the United States that have been around longer than 5 years. So now it's looking for everything. It's going all over looking for, there is so many tools, guys. Yeah, we call them weapons of mass distraction. So it's showing everything it's doing for the research, right? It's gathering everything it can find. And this same thing, you can do this on Perplexity. And I don't know if you guys know this, there's a lot of guys that are selling Perplexity discounted packages. You can get it for 90% off. I bought one and it works great. It's like, I don't know, $20 for the entire year, and you get the full Perplexity account and the API, like $20 a year. Some of you may belong to like USAA, or even Sales Navigator at one time was giving away free Perplexity for a year. I had already had the account, so I couldn't get it. So keep an eye out. They give it away a lot. So as you see, look, we're starting, this is already analyzing all this results for us, right? And showing how it's getting the results, right? Now we got these 5 companies that they're saying have this growth. And then we can then take this and decide, okay, how are we going to market to them? Or do we want to market to them? Right? I could probably ask it, I don't want to use up all my credits. I could probably ask it, what job openings seem to be the biggest of these 5 companies. What job openings are the most most important for them to fill, or how many job openings does each company have, or what job opening is where, or whatever. All that's available. These tools like Suna, like Manus, like Perplexity are so much more in depth, but you have to understand what you're asking it, and then what are you going to do with the data once you get it? So we got our final list. There we go. How long did it take? Founded in 2014, 99 times. What's we got? So we got Ketone IQ, 8 Greens, Routine, Nature's Beauty, and Now Foods. Does anybody know if this is legit?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm literally I'm talking to Now Foods right now. They're a client of my mom's, Nature's Bounty. That's good. I don't know who 8 Greens is, but yeah, seems pretty legit, man.
And they got 14.5 million. They got 10 million. They got 8.2. So, it's almost like, hey, I know you got $8.2 million of funding, man. My fee is nothing. Right? You're going to have a little bit more. Oh, look at this. It's giving us even more information. Final report, 5 fastest growing companies over here. Industry context, projected growth, 6%. 70% of U.S. adults take nutritional supplements. 24% have increased their supplement intake in the last year. It shows all the tasks that get completed. And there you go.
Cool. Does anybody pay for the premium, Manus?
Not yet. I may jump to it just because it built a website that for me, and they have a new thing called Tasks, which remember we talked about Google alerts. This is like Google alerts on steroids and even more. You can ask it to every day. I want you to search all the information about professional wrestling, right? And news and professional wrestling, and send all that to my email address every day at 4:00. Right?
Can you do that for certain companies? Like, could you put in like all 100 of like your Dream 100, and then
you can put in, research these 100 companies, any news that these, and I think 100 companies probably going to be too much, so you're going to get way too much info.
Tom, I'm finding 50% accuracy with Manus.
Are you?
It's good, like it's fucking good. Like you can punch in a pretty nice prompt. And like I had it say, go in and find the Glassdoor and Indeed reviews for the top 10 mining companies. And it got 5 of them.
So, Kale, did you do it one prompt, or did you do multiple with deep research?
For Manus?
Yeah.
That was one prompt. Yeah, I find it's 50%.
Try it the other way.
Do you pay for it?
No,
I do.
So
Okay.
what
do you find it, Dom? Are you closer to 80?
I'm not even using it for that. I'm working on other things right now, separate from that. But yeah, it does some pretty cool things.
Okay.
I'm wondering, because there's a deep research in there.
Right there.
Yeah.
You can
market strategy, market analysis, industry now, you could do deep research with this. I don't know. I've run out of my credits.
But Gemini 2.5 is really good right now.
Gemini 2.5 is awesome.
Really good.
It's so much faster too. It's like instant.
Let's ask what was that prompt that we just did on Manus? Let's see what Gemini does for that, right? And if anybody, if you guys are getting bored or whatever, just let me know and I'll change it.
Come back in 1/10 the time.
There we go. Fastest growing dietary supplement company in the United States have been around longer than 5 years, right? So this was Manus. No, this was Suna. That was Suna. And then we're going to go to Typing Mind. We're going to use.
I got a jet, guys.
2.5 Flash
distracted.
or Fro?
Flash.
Pro. I use Flash Pro.
Flash Pro, yeah. Let's say the Pro experimental doesn't work for me yet.
So you could even take it further than that. And what companies are likely use an external recruiting firm?
Look at that. I love seeing this, right? So some of the deep research stuff. See you, Sarah. Some of the deep research stuff is wild to watch it actually doing it. Like Perplexity does that too. It tells you what it's doing as it's doing it. This is pretty impressive. Okay, this is tricky because the fastest growing for private companies, which may sound like isn't always publicly disclosed. So here are the 5 such companies for the strongest growth trajectories. So Buck, how do these look?
Well,
Yeah, this pretty solid, man.
he's still here. So.
So I have unlimited on this. So what will be the next question? Somebody had said, what will we ask it next?
Prompted for like which out of these companies who would most likely use an external recruiter and why?
I've been trying.
Out of these companies, who would be most likely to use an external recruiting firm or staffing agency?
I've actually been trying to get into Thorn, so let's see if they're one of them.
Which one?
Thorn, THOR.
Even if they said, even if it didn't say on here, who cares? Just still go after them.
Yeah, I've been. All of their executives
Look, taking close look at their LinkedIn profiles, analyzing company needs, refining assessment, evaluating internal HR capacity.
High likelihood. Okay.
Bullshit. So you call them up and tell them that they tell you they won't use an internal recruiter, and you say that's bullshit. ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, ChatGPT said you would.
What job opening is most prevalent across all of these companies? Prevalent? Am I saying that wrong? Prevalent? Prevalent? Is it prevalent? What job is most
prevalent?
Prevalent.
Yes, sir.
So now, I mean, this is what we're talking about on the biz dev side, right? So think about you're targeting, you have an MPC, right? And if this gives you all the information for this MPC, like, okay, digital marketing specialist, right? Marketing e-commerce roles. All these companies have a significant direct-to-consumer specified roles, e-commerce specialist, brand management, marketing generalists, sales and business development, operations, supply chain, right? And then I'm next thing probably, can you give me 10 of their job posting, 2 job postings from each company? Can you give me links to 2 job postings from each of the companies?
So I think what are you doing that through typing mine?
Well, yeah, I'm using Pro 2.5.
But what's the difference when I go directly through on Gemini? Mine's still researching as we speak.
Is it?
And I typed it in before you did.
Okay, still researching?
Yeah.
Which one are you using? 2.5 Pro 5-6?
I have the Pro version, so 2.5 Pro.
Okay.
Flash.
Oh, you're using Flash.
Yeah.
This one?
Let me see.
What's...
Yeah.
Okay.
Flash. Sorry.
Because I have, there's so many 2.5s.
See, I don't know.
Pro Preview, Pro 6. So I used the Pro 6-5 thinking June 5th is what I was thinking. So that's being the most, because that's March 25th, right? So that's what I was thinking. This would be the
Is that what that is? I don't know.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, those are the release dates.
Yeah, like there's Flashlight today because it's new, June 17th. Oh, gee, today's the 20th.
See. Yeah, still researching right now.
So there,
Wow.
So we got what are the roles for anybody who wants to get into this world? Senior scientist R&D, digital marketing manager, both at Thorn. Then Greenhouse needs, that's Thorn again. They use Greenhouse as their ATS system. Brand manager, clinical research coordinator. Goyle needs a social media manager and an operations coordinator. And at Hum Nutrition needs an influence marketing coordinator, customer experience associate, sales education executive, influencer, and brand manager, director of sales, social media manager,
Oh, wow.
attention marketing manager, see ya, Jordan, and affiliate marketing manager. So,
Man,
and they use Lever. They're using Lever.
this is incredible. Like, I really got to I didn't realize how many social media managers were in demand. I kind of like wrote that off, but looks like I'm going to be recruiting some social media managers.
But I mean, this could so just we did this. What was our prompt? 5 fastest growing dietary supplement companies in the United States that have been around longer than 5 years, right? So you could change this to anything, right? Geotechnical engineering companies that have grown more than 20% in the last 5 years. Manufacturing companies that do widgets that have grown 20%, or that have 10 regional locations in the Southeast. Because think about, I guess maybe think about it like this. You have an MPC, right? We all know how to make an MP or find an MPC. You've got a rock star in your industry, MPC with benefit and features and benefits that someone will pay a fee for. And he says, Andy, I want to move to Saskatchewan, right? Then you just take his stuff and say, okay, who would he work for? Then ask it that question. If he's a widget salesman, what are the 5 fastest growing widget manufacturing companies that sell products in Saskatchewan? And then kind of just go from there. And this is going to give you market intelligence. So it's not so much as a spray and pray. And for those of you that do the email campaigns, you could put together one of those MPC data sheet things and just boom, 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 send it out. Right? Yeah, Huff.
So I have a question. When you're getting job orders, we're talking about speed to get them and being first and early notifications. But a lot of times I get openings where they didn't want to use a firm, or they've used firms that didn't work, and now their pain is high and they're willing to pay and do whatever your terms and conditions are. I run into that a lot. How about you guys? Do you see that? And would there be a prompt for that?
It'd be interesting because I feel like I get that, Tom, we've already ran some ads. We used our local staffing company and we called all our best friends, cousins, aunts, cousins who knows people. We need you now. We're dying on a vine, right? Like I get those. I don't know. It may be something like get me all the job openings because you can tell if a job's been reposted on LinkedIn, right? So maybe we can walk through this for a second, right? So maybe it's something like, for these 10 companies, get me all the jobs that have been posted on LinkedIn and reposted more than twice in the last 6 months, right? And then maybe you'll find pain that way. Find me this job. Take a job that's on LinkedIn and see if this is this job is, where else is this job posted? This identical word or similar job from this similar company, where is it posted besides LinkedIn? And if you see it's on Monster, Career Builder, and then all the local little associations they belong to, right? And Craigslist and Facebook, they might have some serious pain as well, right? I would probably have to really think about that, but that's a good idea. Huff.
Well, my only concern is when somebody does that, it's a problem with the job order, or it's a problem with their process, or a problem, they don't know what the heck they really want. Right, and all that. But just kind of curious if you guys had run into that, because I'll talk to a company and they'll say, hey, we're not ready to pay fees. And of course I'm dealing with, typically more senior roles, or they're working their network first before they do anything. But it's still out there.
And I will, everybody who's here, I will, all the tools we talked about and more, everything that we talked about in the sales deck, I will put that together and I will put a link in the roundtable on YouTube under the description for a Google Drive document with every single one of these tools on there, right? So, and you can watch this video afterwards, because we're going to go to our double secret probation now, because it is 1:30. So I thank you everyone for coming on today's roundtable. Thank you all for attending and sharing. We really appreciate it. Thank you to those who shared their tools and jumped in and gave me questions and whatnot. Please like and subscribe and share the roundtable on social media or anywhere you can. Thank you for being part of the Recruiter Roundtable. We really appreciate it. On LinkedIn, the Recruiter Roundtable. On YouTube, youtube.com @the Recruiter Roundtable. Legal services roundtable provided by the law offices of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe for top suggestions, tips, tricks, and more. Email us at therecruiterroundtable@gmail. And remember, this podcast making any information that's confidential, privileged, unsuitable for always sent to the person with low self-esteem and no sense of humor or irrational literal release. You'll have to know that no animals were harmed in making this podcast, although the butt next door is living on a hard time. Thanks again for being part of the podcast. For Ernie Moreno, Kelly Nelson, I'm Tom Alascio. We will see you next week on the Recruiter Roundtable. And then, till then, don't forget to smile and dial. Okay, we're out. So now we do this for those who've come before. You can talk about anything, nothing, and I usually